What's up, After Buzzers? We are back with Raising Dion, issue 103 of season 1, Watchmen. Today we are covering racism in Dion's school, as well as we finally meet Charlotte Tuck, and also what is going on with Dion's superhero watch. Coming up next.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? I am your host, Suzie Grgurich, your Michael B. Jordan and Jason Ritter superfan. We are back today with a huge issue of Raising Dion, and I want to introduce you to my co-host, Miss Kay Montgomery.
Hey.
She is a huge Sammy fan on the show, as well as you've done several big-time red carpets. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's awesome to be here. I am a huge Sammy fan. I would call myself a stan.
Love it. So let's get right into this. We have a big issue. We have Watchman, what the title is. We have the watch that Dion is wearing. We also have a lot of other big symbolic events. We're talking about racism in this show. Also this Charlotte Tuck character. And also we have our special segment, you guys, the Comic Connect, based off of Watchmen. And last, we have some good news for you. So let's talk about the overall thoughts. We're talking a little bit about the Ellen show today.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We're going to talk a little bit more about what Sammy's trying to do with the Ellen show. My overall thoughts for this episode were just like a roller coaster ride of emotions. I thought it was one of the funnier episodes. There's some great comic relief bits in here. And then we finally get to meet the elusive Charlotte Tuck,
whom we've all been wanting to meet her. But let's get going right away and talk really about the racism at the school that's happening with Dion. Tell me a little bit about what you thought there.
Well, I mean, I really thought it was handled really well. I know as a person with a master's degree in education and as a school counselor that there are a lot of issues surrounding racism, especially with black boys in school. I know the stats are really dire. They're 3 times as likely to be suspended from school than your average white child, a young black boy is. And we're talking young. We're talking elementary school age. So I was really excited and it was heartening to kind of see that play out. It was sad, but it's a fact that a lot of people don't know and see.
Right.
So that was really interesting to see. His teacher, I mean, don't you just love the teacher?
His teacher, I love. And, it's interesting that, Nicole was there during the day. Mm-hmm. She was at the school helping out. And she pulls the teacher right in. And, it's great because this principal obviously has an issue with Dion being a bad kid. And it's something that we do see all the time. And I'm glad that the show is approaching this topic.
Yeah, I thought it was really heartening. And just interesting to see that terminology when she spoke to him at night about the situation. Because,
right.
As we know, the teacher immediately, even though the little boy was the one who had stolen his watch,
right,
had just assumed that Dion was a bad kid. And I mean, I just thought it was really interesting the way that she explained things to him later at night,
I agree.
And that talking with her sister said, you gotta tell him that things are going to be different for him, basically because he's a young black boy in this country, and kind of alluded to maybe some issues they had when they were teenagers. Did you kind of catch that?
I did catch on to that,
yeah.
Which we don't know if we're going to learn more about that. And I think what's great about this show is that Nicole is becoming a superhero mom. Mm-hmm. And we're really seeing that Dion is just a kid still, and he's navigating this world not only as a superhero, but it's just being a kid at a new school. And let me tell you, you guys at AfterBuzz are going to find out that I am a crier. I bawled my eyes out at the end when they were having their mother-son little monologue together, because it was just so special and so loving. And then he references to Mark, and he just, pow, pow, pow. His dad was here, pow, pow, pow. And it just made me cry even more, because then it's like, you just know that this is going to be an issue for him.
Right. And I thought it was really interesting also to pull into just the idea that these superhero powers could make it more dangerous for him as a young black man. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or a black boy. So I thought that was really interesting because we always think like, oh, it's so empowering and it's great and you can make all of these things happen. But also it comes with an extra amount of danger and, you know, kind of suspicion surrounding him. Right. So that was an extra piece that I really liked that they highlighted and kind of delved into this episode.
Me too. And speaking of his superhero powers, we are introduced to his father's watch in this episode. And this is really unique because in superhero comic books, a lot of these superheroes have some piece of symbolism, the Green Lantern did, that kind of helps them rein in their superpowers. So Pat, tell me a little bit about what you thought about all this.
First of all, I can't even. You're a Pat super fan, as am I.
Super fan.
I mean, I can't even. I
want to hug him.
I just love Pat so much because he is like the best nerdy, fun uncle that you could possibly have.
Ever.
And his understanding of the comic book genre is what we need because I don't have a lot of experience with the comic book genre.
Right.
And we can see that the mom doesn't either. So it's great for him to come in and say, listen, this is how I think we can rein his powers in. Let's have an object where he can focus. And then I love that she takes him into the candy store. That's why we have a couple of Twix today. She takes him into the candy store. That's a great event. But I just really love that the symbol was also a symbol of his dad's.
Yes.
So it's like remembering his dad, but then also tapping into his own power at the same time. It was brilliant. I just love Pat's character.
Pat is so great, and it's so heartwarming because he really wants to help Dion get these superhero powers under control, and he knows how to do it. So we see him at school. He's having a little bit of trouble. We see that he does something that he shouldn't do and kind of hurts this kid on accident. And then we see Pat kind of going behind Nicole's back a little bit and takes him to play basketball. What did you think of the basketball scene? It was great.
Oh, I love that scene. It was hilarious. It was like white man can't jump up with an 8-year-old. And also a white man, because Pat. But you know what I really love? And I think that the side characters are brilliant in this show.
Amazing.
Malik, Tessa the neighbor, they are adorable. I love that they're like, yeah, little man, come with us and play basketball. And then Pat goes right along. And I was like, why does Pat want to go play basketball?
Pat was so excited.
But then later on, you realize that Pat has all in the back of his mind, like, we're going to use these powers. Right. So I think it's really interesting. But also, I thought, okay, he just got detention for using those same powers in public. And his mom tells him not to use those powers in public. So once again, like every fun uncle, always getting you in trouble on the side. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this is a true fun uncle telling you to do stuff that your mama has told you not to. Yeah. So
Pat was loving it because so here's funny. Dion out here shooting and hooping, and all these guys were watching him, and they couldn't believe it. And I think it's so great funny for Dion because we see that he doesn't have a lot of friends at school, so it's almost heartwarming to see these older kids in the neighborhood that are like taking him to play basketball, and again, just kind of it warms your heart a little bit. I think the whole show has that tone to it where you know there's some moments in it that are just they make you really smile. Yeah, I really agree with that. That's why it was such great comic relief. But the undercurrent of that was like, how often is Pat? Because I mean, normally you know in the first few episodes, Pat is taking him to get pizza and ice cream when he's really not supposed to. Right. But this is using your powers when you're not supposed to. And somebody pointed out, like, we don't actually know if Dion is a villain or a superhero yet. Right. He has powers, but how is he going to use those powers? So. And also, what did you think about Esperanza in that really... I loved her. Every part. Really quick little scene. She saw something. And she says something to Dion. She did. Again, I have a weird feeling that she said in another episode that she's invisible, so we all thought maybe she was invisible, but she saw a little something at school that day. She did. She's really perceptive, and that's the thing that's really interesting about her character that I love. I feel like she sees Dion in a way that other people don't. I agree. And she's catching on. And she, I wonder if she's going to be his guy in the chair. You know, your sidekick or your guy that's kind of behind the scenes kind of guiding you along, because she does seem like this a really smart, sassy girl, brains of the operation type. And you just fall in love with her as you do with Dion. And now we have another huge topic, Miss Charlotte Tuck. Everyone has been wondering who this character is. what her affiliation with Mark was, and boom, we finally meet her.
Yeah, and she has quite an attitude. I like that she's spicy.
Attitude.
I like her abrasive attitude. I was like, yes, come through. She did not have time for nonsense.
No, I mean, she comes into the woods, and how did you feel? Like, my heart, like, sank when she comes flying through out of nowhere. I was like, I don't know. My heart skipped a beat.
I was so excited. I was like,
so excited.
yes, girl, come through.
And right
Evaporate
away,
out of the woods.
it was
Materialize out of the
amazing.
woods.
But what we found out is that Mark had superhero powers from this Aurora event that took place in the Northern Lights. So do you think that that's a reason why he was acting strange the last few months before he apparently passed away?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's sad that I could see how she kind of not resents it, but she wanted to know from Charlotte, why didn't he just talk to me? Because he Mark reached out to Charlotte to get her information and, figure out how she was handling things, because everybody who apparently was on the project got superhero powers except for Pat.
And it's almost, again, so upsetting because Pat is the one human being that really deserves the superhero powers.
That would know exactly what to do.
Crumbles when he finds out that he was the only one that did not get them.
He was the only one that did get powers because he was inside the yurt the whole time. But so I felt like I really enjoyed the meetup with Charlotte. I don't know if we'll see her again or how often of a fixture she will be, but she provided some really important information and context. I mean, the first thing she said was, I'm not having an affair, or I wasn't having an affair with your husband.
Right.
And I think that's what we all wanted to make sure.
Yes. Do you think, though, that obviously Michael B. Jordan, he was getting nervous towards the end? Do you think he was a little nervous for Dion, knowing that there were these storms that are coming at them that are killing people that have the superhero powers or taking them away? We're not quite sure what these storms are doing yet. And I'm almost wondering if he was fearful for Dion. I'm starting to get worried because these storms are a scary, scary piece of business here.
That's true. And Charlotte Tuck said to her, to watch out for the storms. The storms are what kill people. And when he came in the storm a couple of episodes, he told her to leave,
to run
get away. So I was like,
and then she ran away rather quickly too. So I'm interested to see
that's true.
kind of what goes on with Dion, because I'm starting to get worried about his own character. But
are your ideas do you think that Mark is still alive, or do you think that was his ghost and Charlotte is telling her to...
I don't know.
Yeah.
We kind of have a feeling, well, we were talking about this, breaking it down. Is he in some kind of afterlife? Is he stuck somewhere? Are these creatures? Are they shadow people? But now they're referring to it as the storm.
Right.
So I want Mark to still be alive more than anything.
I do too.
But part of me thinks that he might not be. But he wasn't in this episode at all, really. So I also am interested to see kind of a little bit more how that plays out with him and how he was dealing with his own superpowers. I mean, I hope we get to see a little bit more of that.
Right. And I'm interested to know if he knew that Dion had the beginnings of superpowers as well, or if he just recognized his own, or...
I know there's so many things that we can still tap into, but I'm with you on the fact that I would like to see more of Charlotte Tuck, because she's got some sass to her.
Yeah, she really does.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, I think we need that. Because we have that with Esperanza's character.
Yes.
But I feel like the mom character is a little bit, she's downtrodden. Yeah. She's kind of beat down. Listen, I would be too if I lost Michael B. Jordan. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean.
But she is, and I think she says this in a lot of kind of the news that she's done, that single moms are the superheroes. And we're seeing in this episode, again, she's almost getting stronger the more that she's understanding Dion's powers. I feel like this is kind of getting her a little bit over the hump.
You think so? I think the opposite.
Or do you think the opposite?
Yeah, I gotta say, because I feel like, remember at the very end after she had the talk about, people aren't gonna like you because of the color of your skin sometimes, and that whole talk, which is a tough talk to have with a kid, which is a talk that every black parent has to have with a kid of color. That's just a fact. But so after she comes out, with having to give that talk by herself, she probably always assumed she would have that talk. Mark would be there, but she came out and Pat was there. And then she just cries and kind of collapses in Pat's arms. And I just thought, man, this is a woman who is exhausted by it all. She can't catch a break with the supernatural things. She can't catch a break with real life situations. It's just a lot. Yeah.
And I feel like in watching it, I'm seeing her kind of slowly coming out. Like, she was able to do this deep talk with Dion on her own. And she's kind of understanding his superhero powers and kind of watching him try to navigate them. So I'm hoping that she continues to kind of build herself up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love her character. She's a great mom. She's a superhero to me. And speaking of that, with our special segments, so as we know, each episode is based off of the name of a comic book or a phrase or a saying. And Watchman is the name of this episode, issue 103. So first of all, we're really excited because at AfterBuzz, we are going to be covering Watchmen, and we actually have it here. So what's actually really interesting, though, about Watchmen is that, it's a DC comic book. It takes place, goes back in time in like the 40s and the 60s, and they bring back superheroes that actually change what happens in kind of the past.
Right.
And so it's kind of a really neat thing with history. So do you know a little bit about Watchmen, or what did you think with this episode, how it kind of played into the name?
Well, I felt like I've never heard of an 8-year-old African-American superhero.
No.
So I thought, well, that's one for changing up the game and changing history.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, he still doesn't have a superhero name.
No.
And the watch is his symbol.
Yes.
So could he be the Watchman? I don't know.
And also the Watchman being very, very popular has a lot of symbolism in it as well. And again, the symbols that you see throughout those comic books kind of ties in with the watch being a symbol, which we know is a big thing in superhero and with comics and all of that. So I think this watch is definitely going to be that, or the Twix.
Or the Twix.
Or the Twix. I don't know, either one, but I think the Twix has a little bit of a superhero power over Dion as well. That's his like little kid excitement.
Yes, that's a really good point. That ties in the idea that let's remember this is a second grader. Yeah.
And I think that that's the one thing that just goes through. And I think what you just said about like changing history, this particular comic, Raising Dion, in this show, we've never seen a superhero like this before.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is. It's awesome. I love it.
And speaking of superheroes, let's talk about the news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, guys, super exciting. The latest news that we have is Sammy Haney, which you guys know I'm a huge Sammy Haney fan. She's adorable. She's so sassy. She's so funny and smart. She idolizes and is totally in love with Ellen DeGeneres. I mean, who isn't? They're two great, female icons, right? So she, on her Instagram, I want everyone to go to her Instagram. It's Sammy Haney. It's SAMMI.HANEY. Follow her on Instagram. Tag Ellen Show because she wants to appear on the Ellen Show and talk about actors persevering even when they have disabilities. So she is awesome. We want her to go on Ellen. We want Ellen to dance around and for her to spin in circles in her chair, honey. She is adorable, and she will just give a great Ellen interview. So we want you guys to make sure to follow Sammy Haney on Instagram, and she's also at Sammy Haney Sassy on Twitter. Tag the Ellen DeGeneres Show and tell Ellen that you want to see Sammy on her show for an interview.
And we're so excited here at AfterBuzz because she actually commented on my personal Instagram.
She did.
And I was so excited about it. She was very excited that we were covering the show here. So definitely make sure you go to her Instagram, tag The Ellen Show. We want to see her come out to LA and, yes, dance around. That she's just like a cute little sassafras. We love her.
She is adorable. And she has a brittle bone disease. It's called osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, or a brittle bone disease for short.
Right.
But I think when it comes to actresses of differing abilities just killing it on the scene right now, she's really at the top of her game. Right. And it was just so great to see all the diversity and inclusion in Raising Dion and how they're incorporating that. And so I have friends that have kids that are special needs, and I know they're going to be inspired by her story and everything she's doing. So I'm very excited.
And I cannot wait. Predictions for next week.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'm going to let you go first.
I mean, I'm going to go right into Sammy. I think that she knows that Dion has some kind of superhero strength, power, that there's something special and different about him. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to see how these two link up for the remainder of the show.
Yeah. So that's going to be awesome. Well, you know, in the last scene, we saw the phone. Charlotte Tuck sent the mom the message, and we saw this lightning monster in the sky. Yes. An outline of this mountain. That was terrifying. I was like, what? I didn't expect for like a monster. I was totally thrown off by a monster. Did not expect a monster. So, I mean, I'm just thinking Dion is going to have to fight this monster, and Charlotte Tuck is going to be there, and they're going to have to team up some kind of way.
Right.
And I see Sammy's character, Esperanza. I see Esperanza some kind of way working her way in there, as she always does, and doing something awesome. I really hope Pat doesn't get hurt in the process of anything, because you know how we feel about Pat, but he's a bit of a wild card.
He is kind of, again, going back to my predictions for Pat, I'm interested to see how he continues to mentor Dion, because we still don't really know what Michael B. Jordan's role and Pat's roles were in their jobs.
That's true.
And so I do think we're going to continue to see him help Dion control these, and I really hope that Pat's character kind of continues to also be kind of like not a sidekick, a mentor.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the love aspect with Pat and the mom character?
There.
I know. It's kind of weird because, listen, if there was a choice between Pat and Michael B. Jordan, Mark's character, Michael B. Jordan's character, Mark, there is no choice, right? But maybe now that Mark is gone and he's kind of the only person that kind of holds that strong memory similar to her, and I feel like they were best friends, so they probably were a little bit similar. I mean, Mark's character was building this crazy lightning catcher in the back, so he's a little bit of a nerd too. So maybe she has a thing for nerds.
And we also saw at the Aurora event, kind of with Pat, he definitely had a moment when Michael B. Jordan told him that he had gotten married when he took his glove off. And so I feel like there's always been some type of love that Pat has possibly had for Nicole.
Maybe.
So I think that there was a little something there. I mean, they keep giving these little twinges.
Yeah, they do.
Little looks. So I think
something underlying there.
There's going to be some kind of love triangle at some point, I think, that they're gonna bring in.
Yeah.
But I think, any other predictions?
That's it. I don't have any. I am so just at the wheel of the story. I cannot wait for episode 4. I'm just along for the ride.
Amazing. Well, once again, guys, Kay, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at It's Kahaila, ITSKAHALIA on Instagram, and at Kahaila M, that's KAHALIA M on Twitter.
And once again, this is Suzie G. You can find me at Suzie G Styles. Make sure you go follow Sammy. And once again, guys, we will buzz you later.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.